All right.
You press record at the same time.
Yes, let's do it. We're recording and we think we're live, hopefully. So excited today to be sharing about USA SUP, and not just a celebration of this little introduction thing we're doing for the first time, but we just got our 501c3 official status. Sorry, Ryan, I couldn't wait. I had to tell. So we were officially in our organization. So huge news, super excited about that. We'd love to give you a little kind of overview of what we are in case we're new to you. But if you saw the post, you probably heard a little bit about us and our organization. So besides board members, we also have a group that have volunteered. I think we have 8 so far that have volunteered to be regional reps. Would you wave if you're one of those? Yay, we've got 2 so far and hopefully some more. Oh, Tim's joining us. We also invited our new members, and I can't tell you guys how grateful we are as we're just launching for you to have faith in us and to jump in as new members. So I am going to, again, those of you on the call, the usual Zoom mute. If you can, we're going to save questions to the end and try to give you a good overview. If you are watching live, you should be able to ask questions on Facebook, is my understanding. We're hoping that it works that way. Right now, though, we're going to give you a little introduction. So I'm going to switch to screen share on Zoom. I am going to take us off of Facebook. And whoop, how'd I lose our little thingy bobber? There we are. And slideshow. And our president, Harrison Withers, would you mind? Oh, actually, before that, we're going to each introduce ourselves. So very quickly, I will finish and say I'm Kristen Thomas. I live in Southern California. That's the Southwest region of USA SUP. I've been racing since January of 2010, been around for a while. Super excited about so many aspects of what we're doing, but we really want our website to be a resource for everyone. So that's one of the things I've been working on. Long way to go, need some more input, but we've got all kinds of great lists. So we're hoping anybody who's interested in racing, already races, could find anything they wanted to know about stand-up paddle racing. Who wants to go next? Jump in and introduce yourself.
Hey, Kristen, I'll go since I need to figure out if my mute works. Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome. Okay. Hey, I'm Adam Tischler. I am the VP for Communications for USA SUP. I'm here in Seattle, which is our Northwest region. I see some of my friends are on here. That does include Matt, even though he's in Carolina now. But I started racing about 2015, I think. That's at least when I got my first paddleboard, and I was racing pretty shortly after that. And I joined for the reason I think most of you guys are on here. I love racing, but I love the community that comes along with racing and paddling even more. So when this idea started getting kicked around, I jumped in with both feet, like often happens when I fall off my board.
Awesome. I'll go Ryan Breiker, North Central region, along with Prez Harrison. I'm in Muskegon, Michigan, home of our first national championship. More news to come, but Muskegon, Michigan, September 2023. And like Kristen said, we just got our 501c3 status late last week. I was surprised as a CPA that came through as timely as it did, but really excited about being part of the organization. We're going to be down in Carolina Club, as we'll talk about, but there's going to be some fun swag that you can win. So looking forward to seeing you there and helping grow the sport together.
I'm Matt Jones. I'm our co-chair for competition and development alongside Fiona Wild, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today because she's busy being Fiona Wild somewhere in the world. I started racing 2011, 2012, and having grown up in every competitive sport and working in competitive sport, it was just a really welcome change to have this community that we all love so much be in that world. So I'm really excited to be a part of this group and to bring more racing and more events to more people and help the sport grow.
Cool. Does that leave me?
Still got Grant.
Oh, Grant.
Hey there, I'm Grant Cooper. I live in Utah, which is Region 5, South Central. I've been trying to get better at paddling and racing for about 8 years now. I also love to travel, and during that time of traveling and paddling, I've met a number of amazing people within the community, but also found that there was this huge need to try and bring all these people in these communities together. And that's really part of the reason that last year in Tahoe, when I met up with Kristen, I volunteered to come and do what I could to help out and try to bring some cohesiveness to this amazing community, this amazing sport. So hopefully I'll get to meet you all as I continue to travel and paddle. So, yeah.
All right, I guess that leaves me. I'm Harrison Withers. I'm the inaugural president here, mostly because no one else wanted to do it. We did rock, paper, scissors, and I'm terrible at reading people. And, I lost on paper, more ways than one. So I am in the North Central region with Ryan. My name might be familiar to some of you, especially if you paddle in and around the Midwest, and that I am also a board member of the Midwest Paddle League, which I drew a lot of inspiration from in terms of USA SUP and what we want to accomplish with USA SUP, having a community-centered vision, an inclusiveness-centered vision, and really just starting to unify some of the different areas of the country so we get something going that's the same. This has been tried before. We can all name a lot of different acronyms of organizations who have sworn at different points in time that they were going to be the voice of SUP in the United States. And then they end up having two events, in places of the country where most of us can't get to. And nothing ever changes, and then a couple years pass and they just kind of fade off into the sunset. So how is it that USA is really different? Because we're not going from the top down. We're very fortunate to have great high profile supporters, folks like Fiona on the board, that represent the top of the sport, but we're really trying to drive down from there. We're trying to get everything from that 20-person race in Iowa up to the Carolina Cup, and give everyone in the United States a chance to become part of that community, get a national ranking, which is kind of a cool brag for your friends. But me myself, I'd brag on being the top like 300. More or less, the top 10, right? But also just so we can share what works in our various communities and say, these are the things that, build community. And, one of the things that I'm really working on myself and trying is that, these aren't just races, right? I mean, there might be a race, but it's at an event. And there's so much more that we can be doing at events. We can be reaching new paddlers that don't look like us. And I say us because I'm seeing an awful lot of white people here on the other end of the Zoom call, which isn't a bad thing. But how much better can we be if we look a little bit more like the rest of the country, as a whole? What can we look like if we have as many women coming to events, not races, as we see on our local waterways? What if we reflect the world around us a little bit better? What if we have comparable standards to the places around the world that do have national governing bodies for SUP USA? Or for SUP in general. And then what does that look like eventually if that leads to something greater, right? We're not here to promise that we'll be involved in the Olympics. That's, a whole nother, kind of ball of wax. But what we will say is, we're going to have a bigger impact on the event that is down the street, around the block, and within an hour or two drive of your home than any other organization has had to date. So really that's kind of what we're about and what we're trying to do. And I went off the cuff, so I'll probably have some board members lash me afterwards for being too free with this stuff. But we are super happy to have you guys here. Thank you so much for becoming members. I want to recognize some people that I'm seeing on Facebook that aren't necessarily in the Zoom. Michelle Loftus, Greg Wingo, Alejandra Brito, Troy. Thank you all for joining us here today, and let's kind of get into what we're all about. So we're going to talk about regions next, right? All right, we're going to go back to Kristen.
Kristen loves to talk, sorry. But I just want to follow up on, that's great, Harrison, and we're looking at our mission statement right now. But for this first phase, just want to make sure you know how you fit, which is you do. If you're interested in paddleboard racing, if you already paddleboard race, we want you to become a member. We want to take you where you are right now. So the year has already started. We're going to do our best to really cover this year well, but races the way they are, racers the way they are, we want you now. We want you to be involved. We want your input. We want you to be a part of building. I want a huge thank you to the board members because they have put in a ton of work. And even though we're building this to be very inclusive and you to be a part of this first phase of building, the pre-phase was a lot of work to put everything together and to get the structure together. So it's so exciting for all of us to be at this point of ready to launch and ready to bring you in and to start including you in discussions. And we know for some of you that, you know, the, where did it go? The special founding member sticker, the stickers and the fact of just being a part isn't enough for everybody, but it is for a lot of you. And we do need you to come and be a member for those of you who care enough about building this and making it happen. So we'll talk more about that, but our website is up now. Our social media is up. We'd love if you'd follow. We want to hear from you. contact@usasup.org. And now let's get a little bit into the specifics. We're just going to kind of do overviews and then we'll have time for questions and sharing. Matt?
Sounds great. So first thing I'll talk about is our regions. We've divided the country up into 7 regions. There you go. You can see them there. We went through a million different iterations of this. We tried to get as much information as we could from folks in all the affected regions, especially the spots where we maybe didn't know as much about the racing communities there. But this is what we're going with for this year. And so your ranking will reflect where you are within the regions that you see here for this year. Kristen, you want to bring us on to scoring there?
I didn't even put that in here.
Oh, that's okay. So,
is it okay if you just
No, that's great. Yeah. So within that, we've developed a scoring system that will allow us to take results from any race that you're in, wherever you are. Grant has worked his butt off to create a really incredible system there that looks amazing. I can't wait for everybody to be able to see it. And you'll be able to see where you stack up with other people within your region. We've created a few separate age groups. We try to keep it really simple. And then hopefully moving forward, like Ryan talked about, and I'm sure maybe he'll talk a little bit more about, this will be our path forward to a really fun US national event as well.
Cool. I mentioned resources already. Again, check them out on the website. We'd love to know. We have some ideas of new lists we'd like to make, and we know they're not complete yet, but we have where you could find any kind of racing boards and paddles. So the companies, we have trainers. We have a section that was suggested to us for race directors, like where they might get the supplies that they need. So a bunch of different resource. We want our website to be the place that you can come also to find every event. We know there are different race calendars and we support them that work on registration. We aren't the registration site, but we should be the site that you come to first to find any race, any place in the United States. So we have, I'm just gonna stop the share for a moment, because I don't know, we do have a couple of new members and a couple of regional reps. I don't know if any of you would like to share, like what motivated you to kind of jump in early? We're so appreciative.
Well, I guess I'll go. Hi, I'm Amanda Strunk, Southeast region. I live in Lexington, Kentucky. I am the coordinator for the Waterman series. I'm also an instructor, and I have a company of my own doing lessons and guided tours and all that good stuff. And over here, we're really just focused on community and getting people out on the water every day, Joe, every person. And, you know, we can start you in a float or something along those lines and move you up to the race categories. We're just really trying to get everyone we can out here to explore our waterways and have a great time on the water with some very nice, like-minded people. And that's what really motivated me to get into this organization, because that's what we're all about. That's what USA SUP is all about. And what better place to go with all these awesome people coming together to make something so great. So I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me. Mute myself again.
Anybody else? I know, Mary, we've already recruited you to do even more than you originally volunteered for, which we're excited about.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with all that Amanda said. I'm the Mid-Atlantic rep, and I guess I'm also helping out with the environmental committee. Very excited about that. I've already talked to a couple people and excited to get that ball rolling. Yeah, I just love the idea of just helping like unify the community and really just growing the sport and seeing that happen in a very structured way is very exciting. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I'll go. Linda, I'm South Central rep. I'm really excited that we are finally unifying all the awesome smaller communities that, you know, our little racing communities, our, you know, paddleboarding communities into one big community. I think that is so important. And I love the structure that we're going to get from scoring and age categories and things like that. I think that's so important. So I'm super excited to be part of this. Thank you for inviting me.
Austin, Texas, by the way, right?
Yes, Austin, Texas. Yeah. Awesome.
I am in fact wearing my Austin, Texas socks right now.
Awesome.
That's a thing. So I want you guys, whether you're watching just via Facebook, if you have specific questions, we intentionally left it really short. So we do have more information on things like the amazing ranking system that, you know, Matt, Fiona, and Grant. Oh, there's the socks. Shout out to Austin. So yeah, great representation. If there's pieces of this you would like to know more about, we would be happy to share. But Adam, while we're in between, why don't you take a minute just to talk about opportunities from membership and, you know, how we can use them to volunteering.
Yeah, well, look, there's obviously nothing but low-hanging fruit at this point. We've described, I think Harrison did a nice job of describing all the ways that we think, and I believe everyone on this Zoom call and probably most of the folks watching and who will watch agree, there's all sorts of ways we can get better here. From a volunteer standpoint, I think it really right now, it's spreading the word. The whole reason we're doing this from grassroots is because we know that is the most effective way that all these like micro communities, as some of you have said, come together. And it's just when this Zoom is done, it'll get archived on Facebook and I think YouTube as well. Please share it. I think a lot of people are going to wonder, okay, this is, in fact, we have a little, we call it a fake race. It's a little pickup race that we do Sunday mornings. We did it today. And one of the longtime paddlers, he's converted himself to a surf ski, which is okay. But he was saying how he saw this news and sort of thought, and again, we alluded to this, another acronym that is doomed to come and go. But in talking to him, I think the one thing that he agreed on when I explained more to him is that this is about bottoms up. So we want your ideas. You heard the allusion to the environmental committee. We have diversity and inclusion as well. We need your ideas to come forward, and we provide the content or the context, I should say, in the container for you to really bring the best ideas. Perhaps you've had them locally and they've worked really well, but to scale them up to a US level. To share ideas. So I'll jump off the stage with this thought. Kristen talked about the resources page. And one of the things we really want to do is hand successful ideas for implementation around the country in a box. The thing we've talked about is, a race in a box. If you are in Iowa, maybe Iowa has races, I don't know, but I'm going to guess there's not a huge racing scene there. But if you wanted to establish, a race in Iowa, what can we do to hand you as a potential race director everything you need to know to make that happen? What if you wanted to do, a trash pickup day on a local body of water? What do you need to think about? What do you need to know? Because we've all done this stuff probably, or at least participated. And by the end of any one of these, if you're the one who's leading it, then you've learned a lot. And if you're the one who's participating, you kind of have an appreciation for how much went into it. So we want to hear your ideas. We want to gather best practices. And I think a lot of what you'll see us doing next is going to be around communicating those out, pulling information in from around the country, sharing it back out for the benefit of everyone. Again, races is the easy one. That's sort of what brought us all to the table in the first place. But we all recognize, and I'll just go back to the race we had this morning. We have paddlers who come out to races just so that they can learn from others, and they may not even be really intending to do the whole race. They just want to get some tips on strokes or try someone's board or paddle out. And so when we say races, and Harrison's been really great about holding our feet to say, events. But when we think about that, that's really what we're trying to do. How do we get people together on the water in a way that represents the best practices from around the country?
Love it, love it.
You went on mute, Kristen.
Those of you on the call with us, do you have any questions or anything that's still not clear? Because I know you've, again, trusted us and kind of jumped in on faith that we get it all figured out, and we are, but there are still many things to decide. Is there something you would like explained more? And then
I have a question. Like, I'm assuming all of this will be on the website, like the regions, the rules, all of the information we can get on the website at some point.
At some point. Yes.
We don't have the regions posted. It's kind of been, like Matt said earlier, quite a lot of iterations. We're still discussing 2 states that we are considering cutting in half because but yes, we will get that posted. We're excited just that it's live and it's actually working. It's membership. There are some pieces there that we're not using that I personally am super excited to use, like forums, and we can divide it up in a lot of different ways. As much as we want to include everybody, we also would like to give members something special. So members forums of discussions that we will then lead into webinars. So things like rules, we decided not to be top down and decide on the rules and just put them at you. We want you to be a part of us looking at what's out there, what are you using around the country, and then coming to consensus or at least majority as much as possible on those types of things. So I'm really excited about those discussion things that will start happening now that we've got things set. See something in chat.
And I have one.
Yeah,
sorry. I have one specific question about membership. I joined as a business member, so there's 3 of us.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to get those other 2 people's login information. So that's, I know it's a specific question.
Right.
So.
We called that a company/family membership. In fact, I wish we had our very first members. I've meant to go to them and talk to them. So those memberships and that information, one of them could be your business. I know that quite a few people that joined have both a business that they would want the name for, as well as 2 individuals who race, whether it's a husband and wife, or it's people who work together, or it's your assistant or something. But they didn't ask you when you were first in there through the process. Okay, then we will work on that. There's 4 of you that are already, thank you, company family members. And that does mean basically you have 3 memberships, but again, one of them could be your business. And then you as an individual and 1 other person, or it can be 3 individual people, but there's 3. I'm just excited. Oh, thanks, Jesse. We're excited too. We're excited that you're here. All right, I'm trying to check on Facebook. There's any other questions? Anybody else want to share from the board?
I just wanted to follow up on Linda's question a little bit too, just because in the past couple meetings we've gotten a lot of questions on specific of scoring and ranking system and stuff. I don't think it's up there yet, but we definitely hope to be as transparent about that as possible, about how we're making those decisions. And like Kristen and Harrison and a few others of us have said already, we're taking everyone where they're at, no matter what the race format looks like or anything. But we'll also be very transparent about what math we're using to come up with the rankings that we do come up with. So along the way, if someone points out something we didn't think about or has questions about how we got to where we are, we want to make that as open and user friendly as possible. So that will be transparent at some point as well.
Yeah, if I can make a point, just real specifically while we're talking about regions too, because I think people are going to see that, like we said, there was a ton of discussion. One of the other things that came into thinking is that, for instance, there's probably as many paddlers in Florida alone as there are in a couple of our regions, as an example. One of the things that Matt brought to the table as far as a concept, which we might explore further, is the idea of districts within a region, so that you begin to get subpopulations that would provide some sort of evening out of the competition pools, et cetera. And so as people are looking at it, and of course we are open to input for sure, but as people are looking at it, just know that where we wound up was, I would say, probably a mix of population and geography, and then also some existing race structures. So there's really kind of three elements that went into the calculus. It's not a perfect notion. We also just looked at how other organizations, paddle or otherwise, split the country up in terms of regional approach. So I don't want anyone out there watching this at any point to think that everything's set in stone or that there's no other way for us to look at it. Early input is going to be really critical.
And then I have another question. So, you know, I know the regional directors or regional reps are, you know, trying to accumulate races to populate, you know, the resources page or the races page, but can if somebody just hears about it, is there like an email address that they can email, hey, this is my race, here's some more information?
Yes,
So
we don't, sorry, Kristen, we don't currently have that set up yet, like a direct channel for that. At Carolina Cup, we're having our first official like regionals reps team huddle, and we're going to be creating a very direct channel for that. If somebody's in the Mid-Atlantic region, they know exactly who Mary is and how to get a hold of her and how they can get involved, or if they're throwing another event that Mary should know about. But we want to make that transference of information for all parties very accessible and easy, and we will have a system in place for that for sure. For now, if anybody has that, I'll post my, oh, well, you want to do contact?
Yeah, I did. I got one yesterday. Somebody saw
Great.
that, and it's a race we hadn't found. You know, we went to our usual sources and some of the bigger platforms like Paddle Guru and scooped them all up. Also, Grant, our techie guy behind the scenes, has developed, and it's just about ready, a format so that you as regional reps or the race directors can directly input their information, which will help us out immensely, because the, you know, almost 100 races that are in there right now, we put in ourselves, but we would love help in making that work. Moving forward. Well, I think we might just wrap this up and say, yay, hooray, USA SUP, we're launching. If you're at Carolina Cup, we're going to have a tent. We'd love to see you. We hope you will look at our website and consider membership if you haven't. Thanks of those of you in the last few days. We've had quite a few new members join, which is super excited. So we feel like we're on a roll. We're officially a 501c3 too. So all good. Any other board members want to say goodbye?
Instagram address is USA SUP Racing.
Mm-hmm. We couldn't quite get the 6-letter on all the platforms. So add the word racing. Sorry, Harrison. Not just event. Participation, that's the word we like. We do want to be as inclusive as possible, and we want to grow this sport. It's in everybody's interest. So open to all, including everyone, all races, all racers, all participants, all events. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Kristen, is the primary contact point for someone who has a question they don't want to put on social media, for example, contact@usasup.org?
Yep.
Okay.
That is it. Yep.
Yeah. And the .org is important.
Yeah. It's not a .com. We didn't grab that one. It's just a .org. Thanks so much, everybody. And those of you listening in Facebook or YouTube land. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
See y'all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for
Sure.
being
Have a
here.
great Sunday.
Thanks, guys.